Good morning and welcome back. Mr. Parker here live for today's episode of Homeschool Psychology, the talk show. And we have an awesome episode for you today. We have musical guest Sobi, and we have special guest Estee Fox. And Estee is an animation and video instructor and a famous artist. Some of her work is featured on the Clock Tower in downtown Denver and at Union Station. So excited to have them both on the show to talk about our topic, which is change. Change. Small word, pretty simple, but a really big meaning. Change is the process of something becoming different over time. Maybe you change in how you solve your math problems, or you change your clothes, or you change the place you live. Change is doing something different and breaking out of routine. For me, going virtually has been a change. I used to be in classrooms and having fun on the playground, and now I'm changing and I get to make these virtual social emotional videos. So I'm really excited. We're going to bring Estee Fox onto our show now. Hi, Estee. Welcome to the show.
Hi, it's nice to be here.
So glad to have you. So I talked a little bit about who you are. I said you teach a little bit of art here and there. Maybe some of your pieces are all over downtown Denver, but tell us about who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm from Denver, and I have a daughter, and I illustrate books and then do animations, but I like them to be in really public spots so that everybody gets to experience them.
Awesome. And I think we're going to show some of your art right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Estee, that art is fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. And tell us about change. That's our topic today. What does change mean to you in your life, in your art, in your clothes? I don't know. What does change mean to you?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So change, I think, like ultimately right now reminds me of opportunity and kind of like new chances to start new things. So it makes me feel really positive when I think about it. And it definitely is something that, because I think sometimes when we think about change, it seems like something that sometimes happens, but I think it's just the way that things always are, and it's a nice way to look at how you can live your life.
So change is important for growth. Is that what you're saying?
I think absolutely it is.
Can you tell us a story about maybe something that you've done that involved change?
Yeah, definitely. So when I became a mom, that like definitely changed things. When I made artwork before, it would be about different things. I was maybe exploring different ideas, but when I became a mom, I wanted to think about what kind of art I would want to make for my daughter and what I wanted for her to have in the world. So I changed the type of art that I made, and I wanted like books for her to read or for her to be able to see, and also things that I want her to feel good about herself and good about her body and good about living in the world.
Wow. So becoming a mom completely changed how you created your artwork.
Yeah, yes, it definitely does. And because I think it's interesting. Change is always like a good thing. 'Cause you can always change and improve, and it's a lot like when you look at nature. Because sometimes I think when you think about change, it can be really scary. But when you look at our world, like when you look at trees, like trees change and leaves change, and they're all different, and it's really beautiful. And they kind of have these cycles where they're bloom, and then we get into winter, and it goes to sleep, and then it comes back to life in the spring. And those things really inspire my art.
Amazing. I've never thought of it like that change is improvement. I've always thought, well, I really like one thing and I'm going to keep doing it. But if you get in the mindset of change is improvement, that makes it taking a risk and making a change a lot easier.
Yeah, and I think like when you think about change, it thinks about maybe something bad happening or something happening that you don't like. But the cool thing about change is that it always happens. So whenever something is bad that you like or something is maybe different, it doesn't always last. It's always changing and always going to turn into something else. So that's like a really nice way to look at it, is because there's always room for it to move and to change into something really beautiful.
So rather than getting frustrated when things change, we can have the idea that change is gonna happen. And how do we embrace it and go with it?
Yeah, absolutely. And like the good thing I like to do is always like looking at like our world, like everything around us always changes. The season changes, the light changes, the moon changes, and it always comes back and cycles around. So everything, whenever something is bad or weird, you know that it's not permanent, that it always changes again. It kind of comes back around, and it can always improve. And like a butterfly, it's always changing.
Wonderful. Estee, can you tell us about maybe your artistic process and how it changes, like even while you're drawing, like you start drawing something and you change it? Talk to us about that.
Sure. So I would say I'm like a change artist, or like an artwork talk is like process artist, but it's really about change. So I don't think about how it's going to look at the end before I start. I focus on like enjoying drawing and like sounds that it makes and how the paper feels and how the colors kind of blend together with water or different materials, and create the work based on my enjoyment and how things like change throughout the piece, and then stop when it feels like it's the right time.
I never knew you made art like that. That's so cool. So rather than looking forward and like, okay, I'm just going to draw this thing and it's got to look like this, you're just very present. You're like, I'm here with my paper now and whatever thing I'm using to make this art right now. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think because there's different ways that you can make art, because sometimes you want it to look like a certain thing, but that's definitely not the only way that there is to make art. And I think it's a lot more fun to make art that's about what it feels like when you're making, as opposed to making an actual thing. So it's about kind of like actually using the materials and exploring them and having curiosity and, you know, exploring how they change, kind of like you're a scientist and just kind of getting to explore your thoughts and your experience in your body.
I love that. I love the idea of going out into the, whether it's making art or just living your life, rather than with fear or with the set idea, with a curious attitude and just wanting to explore everything. That's such a great concept, Estee. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Do you have any advice for all of our viewers around like how they can embrace change? Like what if I'm not good at drawing, so I don't want to draw? How do I handle that?
I love getting this question. So I think that everybody is an artist. And I don't think that there is such a thing at being good at drawing. I think that that's a type of drawing. And if you can sign your name, it means you can draw. And whenever I'm feeling like stressed out about things or uncomfortable, I always like to go for a walk out in nature. You can make art out in nature. You can make art out of nature with like the plants. But when you go around and like whenever things seem different or weird, you can look at plants and see how different that they are, or how things change out in the world, and like feeling the air and how the air changes, or how the air feels on your skin. And just going back and like looking at like really all the beautiful things that we have access to, the air. Even if you can't see grass, you can look up at the sky and see the clouds and the sun and the light.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. I think I'm going to go do that today. Thank you. So, Estee, it sounds like change is just something that happens and there's no mistakes. Like if we make a mistake, it's just a learning experience, and just go out and try it and try and change and try and grow.
And I actually have like a perfect like story for this that I think that you will like. So butterflies, we know that they start as a caterpillar and they build their chrysalis and they bloom into the butterfly. So one, that's all about change. And it's kind of scary for the caterpillar because they might not know what's going to happen, but there's this really beautiful thing that happens, change. But so when butterflies out of their chrysalis, if you help them out, their wings actually don't ever get strong enough and they can never expand them and fly. So when butterflies are struggling to get out of their chrysalis, they're actually building muscle in their wings. So the harder they have to struggle, the stronger the butterflies get. And once they break through their chrysalis, going through that change and going through those things that were kind of hard, make the butterfly even stronger so that it can fly.
Oh my God. So change isn't easy, but it's valuable.
It definitely.
I love that story. It's inspired me, Estee. We are going to both draw butterflies, and I'm going to put them up on the show, and we're going to have our viewers guess Who made what? How does that sound?
I like that idea.
Awesome. Estee, thank you so much for being here, for creating amazing art, and for sharing it with everyone. It's so refreshing to talk about change as a thing that will happen and we just grow from it. So thank you for living that and creating that.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me here. It's nice to see everybody.
Bye, Estee. Wow. Estee Fox, phenomenal artist, phenomenal person. And I was just so happy she was able to join us today and talk about how positive change can be. Look at it as an opportunity, as a chance for growth. Thank you, Estee. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, our butterfly contest. Let's see whose is better. Obviously, mine was better, obviously. So our next part of the show is the weather section. Teddy, Pocky, tell us all about it.
I'm just so tired from eating turkey. Turkey.
Oh my. Ah! Anyway, let's go to our kids section.
Thank you, Mr. I'm gonna be at the production.
Awesome job. The next part of our show is our musical guest section. We're going to have Sobi all the way from Germany talking to us about change and then playing a great song for us. Let's hear it now. All right, we are here live all the way from Germany with Sobi. Wow, thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
So tell us, who are you?
So my name's Sobi. I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm actually from the UK, but I moved to Germany about 5 years ago. And I moved here to pursue my music, and I've been doing that ever since.
Wonderful. What is being a big famous musician in Germany like?
Well, I'm not sure about being a big famous musician, but being a singer-songwriter like myself is very exciting. It's definitely a very exciting job. Every day looks different. My work involves a lot of traveling, which is great. I've been able to tour around the country and visit lots of different places and cities. Unfortunately, at the moment with the current crisis, it's been a bit difficult. But there's always new and exciting opportunities. Even now, there's much more possibilities to reach people through the internet, through things like Zoom and Skype and all these online concerts that are happening at the moment. So it's an adjustment, but it's still very exciting.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you were able to carve out some time from maybe online concerts to be with us today.
Thank you.
And, talking about what's currently going on, and our topic is change. And so what does change mean to you when things are different?
So change is definitely a very current topic, I think, for everyone, because this year we've all experienced change. And I think that we've all had to adjust to a new way of life. At the start of this crisis, we weren't really sure how long it was going to last. And now it looks like almost every day there's something new happening. So we're kind of adjusting to change every day. And for me, change has always been quite hard. I get very used to routines. And so when something new comes along, it is quite difficult to adjust. I just became a mother actually for 6 months ago. I was going to say 4 months. It's gone so quickly. 6 months ago. So that was a really big change for me. And that was the first time that suddenly I realized how difficult it was to adjust to new circumstances that are outside of my control. So I think that's really what change means for me. A lot of the time, a big challenge.
Great. So change can be really scary, like becoming a mother or moving to a new country. What do you do to get over that scariness, or is it still scary sometimes?
It's definitely still scary, but I think small steps is a really good way to make change less scary. So if you focus on smaller things, sometimes it makes it easier when you're confronted with a big change. So for me, moving to a new country, everything was new. New people, new city, new house, new everything was new. So for me, I really needed to focus on the small things. First of all, getting to know one or two people, changing something in the house, buying new furniture. That was a really fun part of the change. Making my flat as homey as it could possibly be, learning the language, just step by step and not taking on too much all at once. And I think that's also been a big adjustment for this new time that we're in, just taking each day as it comes and not worrying too much about what's going to be happening next week or next month.
Great. So when a big change happens, control the things that you can control, right? We can't control this big virus going on around us, but we could control maybe how we spend our time inside or who the people we talk to.
Exactly. Think about the things that are in our control and try to make the best of the situation. I think something that's helped me a lot during this crisis is to look at the things that I can be thankful for. And I think every day there is something, at least one thing that I can be thankful for. And that usually helps to change my perspective as well. So for this morning, for example, the clocks changed in Germany. The clocks went back. So we actually had an extra hour in the night, which I thought was great because I thought that means an extra hour sleep. But my son, my little baby, he obviously wasn't aware of this change in time. So he woke up an hour too early. He woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I woke up feeling very tired and a little bit annoyed that he was already awake. But as we woke up and walked into the living room, the sun was coming up. And I thought, wow, that's something I can be thankful for, is that the sun is rising and I get to see it. And that really changed the start of my day. So I think that's a really good way that we can deal with change, is trying to find little things that we're thankful for.
Wonderful. So gratitude is an important part of dealing with change.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
On some of our other shows, we've talked about how we forget about all the great things that go on around us. Like, oh, I gotta wake up early, and oh, the baby's crying. but we forget, like, well, hold on, we're all alive, and the sun is rising, and we have a roof over our head today.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, that's true. It's very easy to forget those small things that we take for granted every day.
Talk to me about change as a musician right now. I imagine it's a little bit different than it used to be.
Definitely. I think we're seeing the start of a huge change now, because it's not possible at the moment to play big concerts or even small concerts. At the moment, everything is so uncertain. I had to cancel a lot of shows, and I know a lot of other musicians who have had to cancel a lot of shows and tours. And at the moment, there's just no knowledge of how it's going to continue. So we don't know what the situation is going to look like next year. It's very difficult to plan. And I think that will change the whole industry, what it's like to be a musician, where we can earn our money, how we can connect with people, connect with our fans and our friends. So I think it is very uncertain, and it is a bit scary for lots of musicians, not just musicians, but people who also work in this industry, the sound engineers, the people who work in lighting or just organize events. It's a very big change for everyone. I think we're all under pressure at the moment to try and be creative and find new ways to connect with people. But I think that it's also important not to put too much pressure on ourselves, and like I said before, just take small steps and try to go with the flow. Use this opportunity maybe to be creative, because I think with challenges, there's always good opportunities to make new music or create new art. And I think that sometimes the obstacles that can stand in our way are actually inspiration for us as musicians or artists. I know many of my friends who work in the music industry write songs about problems they've been having. A lot of people I know write songs about mental health issues, and for me it's also been the same. I think I find sad things quite inspiring, actually, because I think music can have such a big influence on our mental health and our emotional well-being. I think actually a lot of the time the obstacles that we have yeah are a very big chance for us to be creative and to make something new that's going to inspire people to be hopeful. And I think the world needs a lot of hope right now, so I think that it is a big opportunity for musicians.
Great. I love what you're saying about out of sadness and frustration and change comes this really good opportunity to create and to get our feelings out, whether it's in music or paintings or whatever. Just this opportunity to say, wow, this is different and I want to talk about it or sing about it, and just that creativity flows out of you. Great.
Exactly. It's really a great opportunity. I think it's hard to see that sometimes, and it's also okay to have days where you don't feel so creative. I think that at the start of the lockdown period, I know many people got very into things like baking or taking up new hobbies and painting and things like that. And I also kind of felt a little bit under pressure to be very productive in that time. But I think in order to be able to create well, you also have to have times where you rest and just take everything in as well. I found that being in nature at this time has been really, really good for me, for my well-being, because I think in all the change, that is something that has been quite steady, and just to experience that, I think that's something that can help when you're going through a period of change, to have one thing that's stable that you can cling on to. And for me, that's often going out into the forest. We have a forest right next to us, which is lovely. So I often go walking there, and it just reminds me that, okay, not everything is changing. There are some things that are going to be there hopefully for a while, and some things that I can enjoy that I know will just give me that little bit of energy that I need.
Great. So when things are changing and being different, maybe holding on to one thing that stays constant or is so comforting.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Definitely. Well, I think family is also another thing. Maybe family has been something for me that's been a constant, especially at this time, even though we can't be together physically, just finding a way to keep in touch has been helpful.
Wonderful. I love all these ideas for how to deal with the change and how to deal with everything being so different. And, just being okay with change. And if it stays like this for a long time, there's a lot of things that we can find to be grateful for. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for talking with us about change. Is there anything else you want to tell us about change, about your music, about you?
I just really want to inspire everyone that's going to be watching this to keep going and to, keep the hope that things are going to get better, and that you can find the good things in every day. Try to find one or two things that you're thankful for. If you feel like listening to my music, that would be wonderful. I have a new EP out. It's called Home One Day, and the songs are about hope. They are inspired by some difficult times that I've had, but I hope that you can find some light in the songs. I chose to call the album Home One Day because that's kind of how I felt when I moved here. I felt like, oh, everything is new and I don't really feel settled, but I do know that one day I will feel at home in this place. And I think we're all kind of going through that situation at the moment where everything's very unsettling, but it will get better, and one day this will all be over as well.
Love it. I love that positivity. You know, one constant for me is that your music is always great. And so I'm going to always listen to your great music, even throughout changes.
Thank you so much, Adam.
And we're about to hear one of your songs right now. And what song is it you're going to play?
I'm going to play a song called Pull It Together, which is a song that I wrote about trying to open up to my friends and my family about struggling with some mental health issues. And yeah, it was quite difficult for me to be honest with people at first, because I always felt like I had to put on a brave face and pull it all together. But actually learning that I could open up to people with just small conversations, nothing very dramatic or very deep, but just starting to be honest when someone asked, how are you doing today? Not straight away answering with the default, I'm fine, but just actually trying to be honest about it, how that helped me and made me feel like I'm not actually alone, because a lot of people struggle with things like anxiety. It's very, very common. So yeah, I wrote this song about that, and I'd love to inspire people to do the same, maybe open up to one person when things aren't going your way, and just see how they respond, because I've found that people are often very willing to talk and to comfort you.
Wonderful. Well, we're really excited to hear it. And thank you so much for being here and opening up to us and just sharing your fantastic music. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, we're going to listen to your song right now. So bye.
Bye.
I don't mean to sound cliche, but it comes and goes in waves. An all too familiar sea is crashing over me. I never really saw it coming, but I knew I'd end up running away from it. While I was putting on makeup, I was making up songs, pouring my heart out, you're singing along. And every time I got close to letting it all go, I tell myself to pull it together, hold my peace for forever. Oh, pull it together. It's either now or it's never. It's never. I never really understood why the bad comes with the good. I've been carrying around this weight longer than I should. I don't want you to think I'm crazy, but I know you've noticed lately I'm losing it. While I was putting on makeup, I was making up songs, pouring my heart out, you were singing along. And every time I got close to letting it all go, I tell myself to pull it together, hold my peace for forever. Oh, I won't pull it together. It's either now or it's never. It's never. Pull it together, together, together. It's now or it's never. It's never, it's never. Pull it together, together, together. It's now or it's never. It's now or it's never. I don't think that the floodgates, they can take it anymore. I wish I could be brave enough to open up and talk. I've been trying to bury all that I have deep inside, but I don't want to be buried by the feelings that I hide. Don't want to pull it together, won't hold my peace for forever. Oh, I won't pull it together. It's either now or it's never. It's never. Pull it together. Pull it together. Don't wanna pull it together, together, together. It's now or it's never. It's now or it's never. It's now or it's never.
What a wonderful conversation. What a wonderful song. Thank you, Sobi. And thank you, Estee, for being here today. Change is so important. And even though it can seem scary and it can seem like I just don't want to do it, change is a good thing. Think of Estee's story about the caterpillar coming out and becoming a butterfly. It had to struggle and push, and it was so hard. But that is what made its wings so strong. Change is an opportunity for growth and for us to get better. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Goodbye!
So how are you feeling? How are you doing?